Welcome and thank you for attending our session, Calling All Young Professionals, Tips and Advice for Succeeding in Your Career. We look forward to sharing what we've learned in our combined 39 years of experience in the fitness industry. Let's begin by telling you a little bit about ourselves and why we feel qualified to talk with you about being successful in the fitness industry. My name is Lauren Korzan, and I currently work as the Southeast Regional Program Manager for Aquila, a health and fitness management company based in Miami, Florida. In my current position, I oversee a multi-site contract for a federal agency, which includes 7 fitness centers. I also support and provide oversight of 3 other contracted fitness centers within the Southeast region. I earned my master's in exercise physiology from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where I also held an assistantship in employee wellness. It was through this assistantship that I developed a love for employee wellness and decided that was the career path I wanted to take. During my time in graduate school, I also worked as an exercise specialist and group fitness coordinator for a local YMCA because I wanted to gain as much experience as I could to help with my job search after graduation. After a short career detour selling orthopedics, I moved to Atlanta to begin my career in employee fitness and wellness. During the past 18 years, I have grown from overseeing the fitness component of a comprehensive wellness program to managing all aspects of that program, including 7 fitness centers and other programs in the Southeastern United States. I also hold multiple certifications from ACSM, Schwinn Cycling, and TRX, in addition to serving as the chair of the Group Exercise Instructor Committee for ACSM. Lastly, I'm involved in different programs in my community, including serving on the advisory board of the Health and Fitness Management Program at Clayton State University, and various volunteer positions in my daughter's school. I feel like all of these experiences have provided me with valuable skills that led me to where I am today in my career path. All of these experiences combined have helped me to become a better communicator, to be more empathetic, to better manage my time, and to be a self-starter. As we present our information to you, you'll see how these tools can lead to your success. And I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, Wendy Mastin.
Thank you, Lauren, for the introduction. As Lauren mentioned, my name is Wendy Mastin. I am currently the Vice President of Operations for Aquila Health and Fitness. As Lauren mentioned, we are located in Miami, Florida, but we do provide fitness and management wellness services nationwide throughout the United States. For myself, my fitness journey began with a degree from Eastern Carolina University, holding my bachelor's in science in physical activity and fitness. I was lucky enough to receive an internship at the White House Athletic Center as part of my final piece of graduation. It was at that time that I was introduced to corporate wellness, and it was my first experience being able to see that there was a different side to the fitness and wellness world outside of commercial fitness, or what we traditionally think of as fitness. During that time, I got a lot of exposure to the federal population. I completed my internship and decided to see what the other side of fitness looked like, and became a personal trainer in Georgetown. While personal training, I was exposed to commercial fitness and group exercise. I had an opportunity to be an assistant manager for the health club when they had a resignation, and I stepped fully into that and learned how to do membership sales and club operations. After doing that position for about a year, I decided corporate fitness was something I wanted to go back to. And going back to corporate fitness, I started off as a fitness specialist. I worked my way to being an assistant program manager, up to a program manager, and then to overseeing a group of federal contracts in Washington, D.C. And 4 years of doing that, I ended up moving to Miami and leading our director of operations position for Aquila, where I started overseeing all of our locations nationwide. 2 years ago, I was promoted to Vice President of Operations and continue to support the company in all of our contracts and clients. one of the things that was extremely helpful to me along the way with coming through the ranks is to take on every experience and every opportunity to learn and grow that I could. And I have continued to keep that up as I moved even into a corporate role. I hold my group fitness certification through ACE. I am also a personal trainer through NFPT. I additionally hold specialty certifications through Yoga Alliance, TRX, spinning. I'm also a lifestyle and wellness coach. And even though I don't use those aspects of my world every single day in my job now that I'm running operations, it's very important to me, and I would like to impart that it should be important to you too, to keep those skills under your belt and continue to learn and grow as you move through your career path, because that will truly keep you successful. I mentioned that I do have my yoga certification. I still actively teach. I also actively work with Africa Yoga Project, which is a group that is in South Africa that helps to bring yoga to underprivileged individuals, to give them a skill set that they can learn and grow from and be able to support themselves and be self-sustaining. We also work with the studio that I teach at here locally in Miami to offer yoga sessions to local prisons and underprivileged children so that they're able to gain expertise and insight from being on their yoga mats and learning tools for meditation. I'd like to echo what Lauren mentioned about all of these experiences collectively, be it within your personal life or within your job or within your training, are all the tools that you are going to need to make fitness a successful career and not just a stepping stone to the next thing, be that a different career path. It is 100% possible to be able to do fitness for your entire career. And Lauren and I are definitely living proof of that, both having 17, 18 years in the field of this being our solo career. So it is possible for us, and it is possible for you as well. Talking to that, moving on to really deciding what your career path is going to be. For many of us, we get our certification and we get that piece of paper, and then it's okay, well, now what do I do? Or for others of us, we go to college and we get that 4-year degree and we come out with the exercise physiology degree or the health and fitness degree or the nutrition degree. And it's okay, now what do I do? What options are available to me? As I mentioned, I never realized corporate fitness was something that was available. When I went through school, I thought of fitness as you were a personal trainer or you were a group exercise instructor. And I wanted to be able to share with each of you all the different ways that fitness and wellness and exercise promotion can lead into different career fields. The first one that we will look at today are what we're categorizing as clinical and health partners. Typically, this is where you will see your exercise physiologist come into play for people that have that 4-year degree. And this is typically happening in a medical or rehab setting. These individuals are very critical to work with patients that are post-op. They're also very critical to working with patients that need to be monitored to ensure that they're progressing safely with their exercise regimen. So we see a lot of cardiac rehab, pulmonary rehab. You may even have this type of position in a physical therapy clinic that partners with a hospital for an outpatient setting. These individuals typically will have a 40-hour week. It's usually 5 days a week, working with a specific set of clients that the goal is to progress them from their surgery or their incident to get them healthy enough to move into a more physical regimen with maybe a personal trainer or something that they're able to maintain and keep on their own. The other facet of this are weight management clinics. We see now that there are a lot of specialty locations that focus just on weight management. It may be a clinic or a camp or a resort where people are learning how to eat healthy and learn new disciplines and be able to add in exercise as a way of their new life. Or it may be working with people that are coming off of a bariatric surgery where they have to learn how to eat properly again, and they have to learn how to incorporate exercise into their daily routine. The other facet of this, and this is a newer one, is we're seeing a lot of fitness and wellness coming in with insurance companies. A lot of insurance companies are adding perks and benefits to companies' insurance programs that allow for individuals on their plan to take advantage of group fitness classes, to take advantage of wellness seminars and lectures. We also see these individuals performing screenings, blood pressure checks, blood sugar checks, also BMI screenings and body fat screenings as part of the insurance plan. Essentially, what these companies are doing is putting these plans in place for people to earn points or earn wellness bucks, is another term that we often see, so that they're encouraged to maintain their health and maintain an exercise regimen, which in turn should drive down the cost of the out-of-pocket expense for insurance. So we're starting to see fitness and wellness move into that area as well. The next area that we tend to think of looks at personal training, group fitness, and boutique fitness studios. It is entirely possible to build your entire fitness career being a personal trainer. For some people, this is really what they enjoy. You're working with a group of clientele, you're working with them one-on-one. You might be working with them in a big box setting, or you might be working with them in a small studio setting, or maybe you've set something up within your home where you're working with them one-on-one. The key to this is that you need to have a setup where you start to build some consistent income and consistent clientele. The challenge with getting into personal training, and I experienced this myself when I first started, was that you don't start with clients right away. So you have to hustle to build your base. Essentially, when you go into a role as being a personal trainer, most of your weeks will consist of what's called a floor shift, where you're working the floor typically on an hourly rate. You're there to meet clients, you're there to do orientations and assessments. You're doing all of that work in hopes of being able to sell and get a new client into a training program. Typically, you are given floor hours, a decent amount for the first 90 days to give you an opportunity to get started and build your clientele base. Usually after the first 90 days, your floor hours will be reduced because the expectation would be that you now have clients and you're working off of commission. Commission structures tend to vary gym to gym. Some places, it's usually a direct split. Most often we see a 40 to 50% commission off of the sale of the session. In some instances, you may see a higher commission split based on your credentials. There are some big box gyms that will pay you as a master trainer if you hold multiple certifications or if you hold your degree. That puts you in a higher earning capacity than maybe someone that just has 1 or 2 certs. In the realm of being a personal trainer, salary really becomes dependent upon you. How well are you able to connect with people and get them to want to purchase the product of being able to train with you, and how much time are you willing to put into that to make that happen? For myself, when I was working and trying to put things together as a personal trainer, I worked 7 days a week. I was not doing full 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, but I was in the club every single day because it was important for people to see me on the floor, know who I was, and be able to connect with me. I also found that I tended to be working when other people wanted to be off. So I had a lot of split shifts where I might go into the gym and I might do some hours with clients in the morning before they went to work. and then I might not have anyone again until after work. So for me, there was a lot of back and forth. Other things to consider is often you right away won't start with that 30 or 35 hours a week. You would probably have to build up to that, especially once you get out of the 90 days for floor hours. So a lot of times with personal training, we want to remind people that it's a great career path to go in, and you need to think about things like benefits. What happens if you're sick and you can't train your clients? Do you have sick leave available to you? What happens if you've saved up and you want to take vacation? Are there vacation benefits available to you? There are programs and there are clubs that do offer these things. They're just things that you want to make sure that you're asking about when you're inquiring about these types of positions. In terms of an average salary, I've seen some people that maybe they're only making 30 to 35,000 a year as a personal trainer. I've seen others that have really hustled to build up their clientele and make a name for themselves, and they're making anywhere from 70,000 to 80,000 a year personal training. The thing is to really remember, it's about what you're putting into it and what you're getting out of it. And if you're someone that enjoys working with people one-on-one and you enjoy sales and you enjoy the hustle, then personal training could be the best place where you're going to be happy with your fitness career. The next area that we look at is group exercise or group fitness. There are some people that they make their living teaching classes. That's what they do. A lot of times we will see people that cross in between personal training and group fitness. They use one to supplement the other. It's great to be able to work in both realms. You might be able to do that and only have to work at one location versus a lot of times we see group fitness instructors that work at multiple locations because they're teaching a variety of classes for a variety of different facilities within an area. Typically, you will see this in a big box setting. We also see this in a corporate setting, and individuals that teach group exercise full-time will tend to work a mix of locations and a mix of classes and formats. Those that are most successful in this have multiple certifications, so they are not sticking with, oh, I only teach yoga, or I only teach Pilates, or I only do spin. Those who do the best in this area are the ones that are able to teach a diverse portfolio of classes. Some different considerations if you're looking to take on group fitness as your full-time career. Yes, you will make a higher per hour rate because the class pay per hour tends to be higher. Depending upon location and the audience, you might see anywhere from $30 a class all the way up to $120 a class. That also depends on the type of format that you're teaching. Formats such as strength, spin, things that tend to not be as specialized or require as much training as a yoga or Pilates will pay on the lower end. A yoga or a Pilates class will pay on the higher end because a lot of times you have to do 200, 300, 500 hours worth of training in order to hold that certification. The other piece is how you get paid. Some locations will pay you a flat fee for the class, whether you have one person in your class or whether you have 20 people in your class, you're still making that same flat rate. There are other places where you get paid a per head rate. So in those instances, if you aren't really actively promoting your class and talking to people and getting people interested in wanting to attend your class, then you may not get as high of a rate as someone who's actively promoting themselves through social media, who's inviting people to come and attend and really packing the room. Same as personal training in terms of hours of the day. You might find that you're teaching several days a week. You might find that you're teaching every day of the week. You may find that you're primarily teaching early morning, lunchtime, and after work, and you might have some downtime in the middle of your day or in the mid-afternoon of your day. Compensation-wise, the other thing that you have to take into account is realistically, how many hours per week can you physically teach? There are some formats that you physically have to be performing the class every time you teach, and that can become tiresome. There are some formats where perhaps you don't have to teach the entire time and you can be more of a leader or a coach. My best advice would be that you mix your portfolio of what you're able to teach, so that way you make sure that you're maintaining your self-care as well. If you're able to teach full-time, which most of the time that's at least 15 classes or 15 hours per week is what tends to tip you into full-time in the group fitness world, then you can see people that are making anywhere from 40,000 to 55,000 per year exclusively teaching classes. So that's another area. As I mentioned when I started talking about these, in my personal opinion, the best bet is to be able to personal train and teach classes. That way you can dip into both avenues and have access to more people to build your personal business. Finally, we have boutique fitness studios. Boutique fitness is a really popular trend right now. Tons of studios specializing in one specific format or maybe one or two formats. In these arenas, what you tend to see is that there won't just be the opportunity to be just the instructor or just the front desk person or just the manager. You're going to find that there'll be several different positions available. If you're someone who's just coming in and teaching, typically you're teaching a few classes a week. It might be on that sliding scale per person, or it might be a flat rate, and you tend to have a regularly set schedule of when you're going to come and perform your classes. If you're someone that is teaching and maybe you're also part of the training team, a lot of times at yoga studios and Pilates studios, they will have a training or certification that they're offering. And a lot of times senior teachers will participate in those opportunities to certify and teach other instructors how to do the format. That's another area for you to be able to earn additional income in the boutique fitness studio arena. Also, you'll find teachers that supplement their class schedules in the boutique studio with helping with the front desk or helping with back office work. In this arena, you also often have non-competes though. So you want to be sure that if you're choosing a boutique studio and this is what you want to do and this is where you want to be, that you found a studio that allows you to be financially sustained, because oftentimes you will have to sign a non-compete, which means you can only work at this one location, but you can't go and work at one that's a mile down the street because they consider that to be a competitor. Average salary, if you're working as a manager in a boutique studio, depending upon geographic location, you're going to see anywhere from 35,000 up to 50,000 per year. If you're someone that's doing multiple roles, maybe you're teaching classes, maybe you're also helping at the front desk, maybe you're a lead teacher and you're helping run those certifications, then you start to see these individuals where they're making, anywhere from, 50,000 up to 65,000 a year in this type of field, in this arena. All of these are good options, be it personal training, Group X, or boutique studios. And all of these are an excellent way for you to really be connected with people and really focus in on the strict fitness side or the exercise piece of what we do in our field. Moving to the next area, which is where Lauren and I have spent most of our time, are the fitness and wellness specialists. When we look at fitness specialist and wellness specialist, we look at it in terms of the corporate side of things versus the commercial side of things. When you think of corporate, you think of companies who have hired vendors like ourselves with Aquila to manage a fitness facility that they have in place for their employees. For them, it's an additional benefit for their employees to have fitness on site. It's a recruitment tool for them to maybe give them a leg up over a competitor that doesn't offer that as a benefit. And it's an opportunity for them to have someone specialized in the field delivering that service for them. On the commercial side of things, you're still in a gym, you're still helping people. It's just there tends to be a sales push or a sales component there. So you have to feel comfortable getting out on the floor, talking to people, telling them about the products, and learning how to close the sale. What we'll do is we'll break down everything on the corporate side, and then I'll go back and break down everything on the commercial side. So when we look at corporate, responsibilities tend to be varied. You'll tend to have an opportunity to work on a lot of different things. A typical day as a fitness specialist or a wellness specialist in a corporate environment, you may teach a few classes. You might also do some orientations and assessments with members. You might also work some personal training programming for individuals. You will also have an educational component where you're working on lectures and lunch and learns and bulletin boards and health handouts that you are using to get your members engaged in what the facility has to offer. And then you also get to be responsible for the not so fun side of things, which looks like cleaning the equipment, making sure the locker rooms are restocked, folding towels, making sure that all of the equipment works properly, scheduling the preventative maintenance for machines. Perhaps it looks like spacing and equipment planning, but you do get a broad overview of all these different things that you can do within a day. Working in this environment tends to be contract by contract. And this is something that over my time, I feel that most people coming out of school have the hardest time understanding, which is that every corporate site tends to be different because every corporate site tends to have a different contract that governs what can be offered on the contract, as well as what the credentials are for those who are offering it. And that's hard for some people to understand why they're all different. Most of the corporate programs will require that you have a degree in the field. It doesn't necessarily have to be so specific as you must have exercise physiology or you must have nutrition. It will tend to be pretty general, anything exercise, health, fitness, nutrition related. Typically, they all also require that you have a certification in the field as well. You definitely have to have CPR, first aid, AED, and you need to have a general certification for either personal training or group fitness. Some will require both, and some will take it as far as to also require a specialty certification for, say, spinning or TRX. Really depends on what that client wants to be offered. In my experience, hours worked was the biggest bonus and perk for me of moving to corporate fitness because you tend to work a 40-hour week and it tends to be Monday through Friday. So you don't have to worry about working weekends. You often don't have to worry about working holidays, and you tend to have a set schedule that allows you to be able to maneuver other parts of your life without having to worry about, well, maybe I need to pick up a client, maybe I don't, maybe they're showing up, maybe they aren't. For me, when I got into corporate, it was very nice to have that set schedule. When we look at compensation and benefits for the corporate world, you tend to see in compensation anywhere from $32,000 starting off all the way up to, I would say, $40,000 for the fitness specialist, depending upon locations. And then you also have other stepping stones. Most contracts are set up where you have a fitness specialist or a wellness specialist. Then there's usually a stepping stone to a senior specialist, an additional stepping stone to an assistant manager, an additional one to a program manager. And then companies that are bigger, you will tend to have beyond that a regional manager or a multi-site manager, and then moving into those corporate office positions. All of these positions, because they're full-time, you tend to also have benefits. So you have paid holidays, you have sick leave, you have annual leave, you also will have health insurance, you'll have continuing education stipends and credits. For some companies, you may have options for tuition reimbursement. So there tends to be a more robust benefits package that comes when you're going into corporate wellness. On the other side, commercial. We talked about this a little bit with being a personal trainer or a group fitness instructor. You will tend to be specific in a role when you go into commercial. You will tend to not cross over. So you will either be the personal trainer, the group fitness instructor, you will be the wellness coordinator, you will be the group exercise coordinator, the assistant manager, the sales manager, you tend to stay very focused and very much in your lane, and you don't tend to have the opportunity to learn other aspects of what goes on in the club. Along with that, as you see, big box gyms tend to be open 7 days a week, holidays, all of the things that can put you in a position like I was, where I was literally working every day. I had to figure out with my team who was going to work Christmas Eve, who was going to work Christmas Day, who was going to work Thanksgiving. And that was often a challenge for me personally. For some people, may not be a big deal, but for me, that was challenging. The nice thing about commercial, though, is because you do end up being so specialized, you get really, really good at your skill set. So you become a really amazing personal trainer or a really solid group fitness instructor, because that's really what you're focused in on. You're also going to get exposed to sales, how to make sales, how to find leads for new sales, how to close a sale. These are skill sets that can come in handy in other aspects of your life, with negotiating and being able to read people and figure out, is someone ready to buy? Do they need some more time? Overcoming objections. These are skills that you can use in your day-to-day life. Oftentimes in a commercial environment, a degree is not usually required. Usually what they are looking for is a certification specific to what you're doing. Oftentimes you don't see a degree requirement in commercial unless you're moving into a manager or assistant manager type of role. Hours worked can be tricky. For myself, when I worked in commercial, I was doing 50 to 60 hours a week. Also too, end of the month, you have a sales quota. And if you are running behind on sales, then everyone works until you meet the sales goal. So in that environment, I did not feel like I had as much control over my schedule or as much of a work-life balance as I did with corporate. On the other side, I do have lots of friends that work in commercial and they love it. They love closing out at the end of the month. They love chasing down goals. They love hustling for sales. It's something that they're passionate about and they enjoy. And if you're someone that's very much a go-getter and you like that aspect of looking for that goal and reaching for that goal, then commercial may be the place for you. In terms of compensation, because it's commission based a lot of the times, or sales or bonus based. On the lower end, if you're not meeting your sales goals, you might be looking at 30 to 35K a year if you're in one of those opening positions. And if you're someone that's worked your way up into a GM position and you're hitting all your bonuses and you're hitting all of your sales goals, you might be looking at 100K a year. It really depends on how hard you're hustling and your ability to meet the sales and the bonus structure. The other side of commercial is that unless you're in some of those higher roles of assistant manager, general manager, they often tend to not offer benefits. So you want to be sure if commercial is where you're looking, that you really talk to them about what the benefits package is. Is there sick leave? Is there annual leave? Is there an opportunity for continuing education? Is there an opportunity for health insurance? Those are all things that you would really want to look at if you're talking with a commercial setup. And that is everything that you ever want to know about all of the different areas of fitness and wellness. And Lauren will take you through how to ace your interview to get any one of these jobs that we just talked about.
Thank you, Wendy. So over the years, Wendy and I both have had the opportunity to conduct many, many interviews, and some have been great and some have been not so great. So we'd like to share our experience with the interview process with you and how you can ace this process from start to finish. So most positions will start with a phone interview. Phone interviews usually last about 20 to 30 minutes, and they give the interviewer an opportunity to ask basic questions to determine whether or not you're a good fit for the position. So for example, they may ask about your current position, about any skills that you possess, They may verify any certifications that you hold or your educational degree. When preparing for a phone interview, you want to do your research first. Look at the company's website. Look at the type of work that they perform. And if possible, review the job description to have a better idea of the responsibilities that it entails. Sometimes interviewers will send the job description ahead of time. Sometimes they'll wait until after the phone interview. So use your best judgment as to what's most appropriate in that situation. You should also prepare questions that are appropriate for this stage of the interview. So in a phone interview, asking about specific work schedules or asking about taking specific time off is typically frowned upon. Instead, ask about the structure of the team. Ask what's expected of each team member. Perhaps ask about benefits or benefits provided. And during the interview, it's important that you're ready to answer the phone at the time agreed upon. I can't tell you how many times, unfortunately, I've called someone for a scheduled phone interview and they just haven't answered. Answer professionally and avoid being in an area that's noisy or with lots of distractions. Make sure you've blocked off time for the interview to avoid any disruptions. And make sure you communicate clearly and honestly. You want to be clear and concise while providing complete answers to the questions asked. And by all means, don't exaggerate or give false answers, as sometimes that information can be validated elsewhere. So for instance, if you claim to hold a specific certification, oftentimes these certifications are housed in a database that lots of employers have access to. So make sure that you give the appropriate answers, the truthful answers. And if you don't know the answer to a question, be honest with the interviewer and tell them that you'll get back to them with an answer soon. So once you've aced the phone interview and you've been offered an opportunity to interview in person, let me provide you a few pointers to help you score your dream job. As we said with the phone interview, you want to have a list of questions prepared to ask the interviewer. I always tell the people that I interview, the purpose is not for me to fire a bunch of questions at them. The purpose is for us to have a dialogue, to get to know each other better. And by the end of the interview, I should know enough about that person to know whether they're a good fit for the company and our team, and they should know enough about me and whoever else is in the interview with them, as well as our company, to know that if they're offered a position, if it's the right fit for them. So be prepared with questions. It's a good time to ask about what they're looking for in an employee. Are there opportunities for growth within the company? What's their hiring timeline? Again, if you didn't feel it was appropriate to ask about benefits in the phone interview, certainly ask during the in-person interview. And having questions prepared ahead of time shows that you've put thought into the interview and that you're genuinely interested in this position. Dress professionally. So we work in an interesting field where we get to come to work in clothing that is very relaxed. Oftentimes they require us to wear exercise type clothing. So coming to an interview in professional attire shows that you're serious about wanting to work for that company and in that position. One of my coworkers always asks the same question in every interview. She stands up, she has on her gym pants, she has on her company pullover with our logo, and she says, "You will be dressing like this when you come to work for us. How do you maintain professionalism in this type of environment, in this type of dress?" And I think that's a question that even at this stage, maybe you aren't actively interviewing for a job, but you know that that's on the horizon. I think that's an important question to ask yourself. Also, arrive early, but not so early that it interferes with the interviewer's schedule. I've had people show up 20, 30 minutes before the interview where I may be in another meeting or I may be finishing a class, and it creates a kind of a distraction for me in what I'm currently doing to try to make sure that they're taken care of until I can get to them. Also, know where you're going, and if possible, drive or take public transportation to the location of your interview a day or so before to know about how much time to allow for travel. Calling an interviewer to let them know you're running late because you didn't plan well shows that you don't value their time. Also, bring a notepad and pen with you to take notes. Bring extra copies of your resume to give to everyone in the room. You may want to ask the interviewer ahead of time how many people will be there so that you have enough copies. Go to the bathroom and grab water before you arrive at the interview location as well. In addition to anything that you've been asked to bring to the interview, provide a list of references to the interviewer. Sometimes you may have to provide this ahead of time, but if not, it's always a good idea to show up with a list of references in hand. You should only provide professional references who can vouch for your work, even if it's in a different career field. Listing a relative or friend as a reference is a waste of the interviewer's time. Be sure to ask the people you list as references if they're okay providing a reference for you, and keep them informed of when you give an interviewer their name. Now, if you are just coming out of college and you haven't held a job before where you have someone you can list as a reference, asking a college professor or advisor is much more preferred than asking a friend or relative to serve as a reference for you. Oftentimes, they know your work habits, how responsible you are, and they can speak to your character. And if you're asked to provide a group exercise demo, make sure you're equipped to do so. Know what the interviewer expects you to do during the demo so that you can have a plan in place. Bring clothes that you can change into and appropriate music to use. And ask the interviewer if you need to bring any audio equipment, such as speakers or cords, with you also. And just taking these little steps can add up to a positive experience, both for you and your interviewer. Not only can you set an example and really make an impression during the interview, but also after. So after an interview, whether it's on the phone or in person, always follow up with a thank you. An email thank you is appropriate after a phone interview, while a handwritten note is often appreciated after an in-person interview. And it's important that you're honest with yourself about how the position you interviewed for aligns with your goals and experience. After an interview, if you don't feel like a position fits your overall career goals, or you don't see it being a good fit for you, communicate that with the hiring manager. They'll appreciate you saving their time in the hiring process, and it frees you up to explore other opportunities. In a company the size of ours, it could also lead to a different position. Maybe the position that I've interviewed you for doesn't seem like a good fit, but I may know of other positions that are more aligned with your goals and experiences. And instead of stepping into a role that just doesn't suit you well, we might have other opportunities that are better. If you're given a hiring timeline in the interview, be respectful of that and don't contact the company to find out if they've filled the position. If more than a few days pass after the deadline that you've been given, it's okay to reach out, but don't do so before. And on occasion, we've been asked for feedback from job candidates about their interview. This usually happens if they weren't offered a position. If the request appears to be genuine, if they want to know how to improve their chances of being hired or their interview skills, I'm often willing to provide that feedback because it can be a great opportunity for the candidate to learn and to find out how they can improve their skill set. Or maybe they find out that there was just stiff competition and that they would most likely be considered for other positions in the future. However, a request for feedback that comes across as harsh or demanding tends to go unanswered. And the way you handle the interview process, as well as what happens after the interview, can keep the door open for other positions if they become available. There's been more than one occasion when I've reached out to an applicant who I didn't hire, but wanted to stay in touch with because I knew they'd be a better fit for other positions. And fortunately, it worked in our favor. So I wish you all the best in the interview process. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Wendy to talk about soft skills and technical skills.
Yes, oftentimes when we think about preparing for an interview or looking at a job, we are so focused on, do we check all the boxes? Do we have our degree? Do we have the proper certification? Do we have the years of service? And those things are important, but Lauren and I felt that it was also helpful to talk to you guys a little bit about soft skills versus technical skills. So soft skills we'll look at first. Soft skills are defined as personality traits and behaviors. Unlike technical or often referred to as hard skills, soft skills are not about the knowledge you possess, but the behavior that you display in different situations. So for example, if I am working with you in an interview and you're telling me about on a previous position that you were very willing to help others, that you were always coming in early, that you won a customer service award, these are all things that tell me that you have really strong soft skills, that you're coachable, that you're willing to go above and beyond, that you're a team player. Even during the interview process, I've had this happen before where I've interviewed someone and they've told me, I think I want to go back to school in a year. That tells me that you're honest. There is nothing worse than making a hire and then finding out 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, that that person had other career plans beyond your job. These are things often that I can't teach someone. I cannot teach you these soft skills. I can give you opportunities to display them. You can receive coaching about how to refine them. And they tend to not always shine through on a resume, but will definitely shine through in an interview or a conversation. Like Lauren mentioned on that phone screen, she likes to get people talking. She likes for it to be a conversation rather than a back and forth. I myself do the same thing when I interview people. The reason I do that is because I'm looking for those soft skills. We're in the world of the internet, and it's so easy to go and look and find the best way to answer certain questions. And if you can get people talking and in conversation with you, then you're not able to run off of a script, and you really start to display who you are and how you can show up for the position. The other side of soft skills are technical skills, which we often refer to as hard skills. These are skills that show your knowledge and abilities that you've gained, be it through your life experience, your education, or your career. So when we look at these, examples are going to be things like, can you perform a proper fitness assessment? Can you teach a proper group fitness class that includes a warm-up and a cool down, and that teaches on the beat? Are you someone that understands exercise programming and can write me up a program to work with a case study that I give you for somebody who has risk factors and limitations? These are your technical skills, and they are important, and you do want to show them in your interview, and you want to show them on your resume. And for myself, when I look at hiring people, if I have two candidates that have similar technical skills, but someone really shines in the soft skills and they really show me that they are a team player and that they're coachable and they want to learn and they have this really vibrant passion for fitness that exudes from them, 9 out of 10 times I will choose that candidate over someone that has the same technical skills but really wasn't able to show me that side of their skill set in the interview process. So it's very important to be able to hone in and focus on both when you're writing your resume, as well as when you're meeting with people in person for your in-person interview, your phone screens, and your demos. And Lauren will take over all the extra things that will give you head and shoulders above other candidates that are applying for the same job as you.
Thanks, Wendy. So there are a few things you can do along the way to increase your chances of landing your dream job or progressing in your chosen field. And while you can see that we're calling these the extras, these are really things that everyone should be doing. Fitness professionals who hold a nationally recognized fitness certification are often considered for positions over those without a certification. The value of certification can't be overstated. It shows you're willing to commit the extra time to continuing your education and learning more about a specific area or topic in the field. And some positions require a specific certification. Wendy went over this when she talked about the different career paths that you can take in fitness. And some employers may actually pay for their employees to sit for these certifications. We know they are not cheap. They are an investment and they have to be looked at as an investment. Other companies may provide continuing education stipends to help employees cover the cost of certification. You want to take advantage of these opportunities if presented to you because they can really be beneficial in the long run. If possible, complete an internship in your chosen field. Internships provide real-life, on-the-job training that can set you apart from other candidates when applying for jobs. In our field, a lot of our hires are recent college graduates. And while we want them to learn and grow professionally within our company, having the experience of an internship gives them just enough experience to not be completely green coming into an entry-level position. So for us, it's nice to have somebody who has some exposure to group fitness or has some exposure to writing exercise programs or perhaps even personal training. But we still want them to be willing to learn, to grow. It saves a little bit of time in the training process, and it just puts them a little bit ahead of the others. Also, seek out professional development. This includes conferences such as the ACSM Health and Fitness Summit, continuing education courses, workshops, professional networking groups. We're in an ever-changing field, and staying on top of recent trends and research makes us more valuable to our employers. And be responsible with social media. I can't stress this enough. Some employers may choose to search job applicants online. You know, we do like to Google search. And if an unsavory social media presence pops up, it could say a lot about the type of person that you are. You don't want to go into an interview with someone who just saw a picture of your bare rear end online, and yes, that really happened. You want to make sure your social media presence is professional and respectable. And if you choose to have other social media outlets for other purposes, just make them private. Also, make sure your email address is professional. This might sound a little odd, but we've interviewed people before where their email addresses were, we'll just say less than professional. Email accounts are free. You can easily set up an address using a name that's just yours, just for communicating with employers. So it's okay to just have an email address just for job searches. You don't have to have it for anything else. But be mindful that these are the first impressions that you're making on an employer, and they can really say a lot. And lastly, remember that the fitness industry is large, but the community is small. Just within Atlanta, where I live, I've developed relationships with many different employers as well as those who work in academia. This is in addition to the professional network that I've also built outside of Atlanta. So if you decide to leave a company, do it on good terms. Provide ample notice, offer to help transition the next person into the role, and continue working until your end date of employment. So doing these things really speaks to your professionalism and can make a big difference in your career. Again, we've had people within our company who have performed well and are just looking for something different, and a position across the country may open up and then they're up for the move. So you never know where things can take you, but it's important that you take these little extra steps along the way. With that, Wendy is going to go over some barriers to your success and how you can avoid those.
Yes. So there are instances, and over my years, I have seen this happen where you have a candidate or you have an employee even that is really doing everything right and they're checking all the boxes and they're still hitting a little bit of a ceiling. So we wanted to kind of give you our insight on when we see those things happen and some tips for that. During the interview process, sometimes the barrier may look like you're a really great candidate, but maybe there's an internal candidate that has a leg up on you because they're already at the facility, they're already working for the company, and they've been waiting in line for a switch of jobs or a promotion. That's why, as Lauren mentioned, it's very important that even if you don't get the position, you still maintain that good relationship with the hiring manager. I've had a lot of instances, and Lauren has too, where I've maybe not been able to hire somebody for one site because I had an internal promotion I was going to make, but I was able to put them at a different site. Or maybe I just kept in touch with them over the years because they interviewed with me maybe for an entry-level position, but they were really overqualified for that. And I kept in touch with them until I had something that was a better fit for them. So simply because the job doesn't go your way in the interview process, don't be shy about keeping in touch and checking in with that hiring manager from time to time just to see how things are going, or just to let them know that you're still interested, or if there are other opportunities that you see posted on the company's website that you might be interested in. Once you get into the job, sometimes you'll still have barriers. Oftentimes, we see that people can look to be promoted quickly, and there are times when that can happen. And there are times, especially in our field on corporate, where we're working on a contract, where that progression doesn't always happen at rapid speed. A lot of things come into play with that. Perhaps it's you need to have a certain certification or a certain tenure in order to be eligible for the next position up. Some of our contracts, in order to be the manager, you have to have 5 years of management experience in order to hold that role. Obviously, you can't come in as a fitness specialist, work for 6 months, and then all of a sudden end up in the manager position without that extra 4.5 years of experience. Other challenges that we may see are if positions just don't open up. And while it can be a good problem to have if you're the employer, that you're not having a lot of turnover, sometimes it can be a challenge for employees that are really wanting to move up and really wanting to grow, but nothing's moving within the positions at their sites. For those individuals, I like to tell them, always be ready. So just because the position isn't open now doesn't mean that it might not be open in the future, and really focus on doing anything and everything that you can to set yourself up for success when that position becomes available. Offer to help, offer to shadow, offer to learn that position inside and out, even if it's not yet yours, because you're going to gain that valuable experience that sets you up for when it is available to you. Other challenges that you may see are ceilings on certain positions when it comes to pay. A lot of times you will see this when you're working in areas that have set budgets that are set based off of operating cost and don't take sales or commissions into account. There will tend to be a budget for each position. And when you have people that are in these roles for several years, they tend to hit the ceiling on those budgets. So at those instances, you sometimes want to kind of decide for yourself, what else can I add on? Maybe I pick up an additional duty or role in order to be able to gain additional money. We have individuals within our company that they might be the program manager at one site, but they're helping me with an additional duty of helping with internships, and that's an opportunity for them to gain additional income. Or they may be someone that's helping me with programming or helping keep everyone's CECs up to date, and that's a duty that may help them to earn additional income as well while they are still in their individual position. Along with this, in terms of just being successful, and Lauren touched on as well in the interview, communicate. Have that open communication with your manager, with your company, about what your intentions are and what it is that you're wanting to do. For myself personally, if I have someone that tells me I'm really interested in learning more about group fitness, I want to be at a location where we teach a ton of classes. That's really what I'm passionate about. That's what I love. I love teaching these different formats. I really want to have more of an opportunity to teach. Then I keep that in the back of my mind. And as I see different opportunities come available, I will go to that individual and say, hey, you told me you really wanted to learn more about group fitness. I have an opening coming up at another site. They're teaching 60 classes a week. Is that something you're interested in? And all of those things will help you to move around those barriers and not get into a situation where you start to feel like you're stuck or that you're running up against a glass ceiling when it comes to moving into a new position or even getting a new position if you're coming from outside of the company. And we will pass it back to Lauren for take-home points. for you to consider.
Thanks, Wendy. So we provided you with a lot of information to help you be successful in your career. And we'd like to finish our presentation with 3 take-home points to help you be successful. So the first is what to consider when choosing a career field. And Wendy did a great job of breaking down 3 primary areas of the fitness industry. So as you consider a career in fitness, ask yourself these questions. How many total number of hours will you work per day? You may start your day early in the morning and you may finish late at night. You may even work at lunchtime in the middle. And are you okay with spreading your hours out this way? Will you have to purchase liability insurance? Be sure to include this in your budget and expenses if it's not covered for you. And I would also add health benefits. So the position that you work in, especially if you're an independent contractor, like in a personal training type role, you oftentimes won't have benefits and you'll have to cover those yourself. Can you earn additional income through personal training or group fitness? Some positions provide a base salary and pay commission for personal training and or a different rate for teaching group fitness classes, as Wendy mentioned earlier. Will you have to sell membership packages or other services? If you don't like sales, then a position that requires selling memberships or other services may not be the best one for you. Prior to working for Aquila about 20 years ago, I sold orthopedic implants and realized very quickly sales was not the right position for me. So when I interviewed for this position in Atlanta and realized that there was no sales aspect to it, I knew right away this is exactly what I need to be doing. And continuing education, does your company provide opportunities for continuing education? It can be expensive, so if a company provides opportunities or helps supplement the cost, it can be really beneficial to your growth as a fitness professional. The second take-home point is that the simple things go a long way. Arrive at work on time. My former boss taught this to us, and 20 years later it stuck. Arriving at work on time means being ready to work when your shift begins, not walking in the door. Avoid distractions such as cell phones and social media. So constantly checking your cell phone for text or social media updates takes your attention away from what you're there to do. Put your phone away, only check it during scheduled breaks or after work. Offer to assist with tasks to show your supervisor that you value your job and you want to learn and grow. So you may not realize how many different responsibilities your supervisor has to handle in a given day. And offering to help with these tasks shows you're a team player and also shows that you really want to learn more about how your program operates. It's also one of those little things that when it comes time for a performance review or a higher position opens up, that supervisors really tend to notice. And consistently going above and beyond the minimum expectation is what sets you up for success and recognition. So again, supervisors recognize when an employee does more than expected, and this can eventually lead to positive performance reviews and possibly a promotion. But remember, rewards aren't always quickly earned, so consistently going above and beyond does eventually pay off. And our last take-home point is don't underestimate the value of certification. Candidates who already hold one certification often possess skills that are needed for the position applied for. This can result in them needing less training to perform their job responsibilities and can free them up to pursue other job-related certifications. When applying for a position with a competitive candidate pool, the candidate with the most tools in their toolbox will typically be at the top of the consideration list. So holding at least one nationally recognized certification, along with other experiences such as internships, can help push you to be the most qualified candidate for the position. And lastly, once you land the job of your dreams, don't stop there. Continue to learn and grow through professional education and certification. Again, we work in an ever-changing field, so it's critical that we stay on top of current research and information. And by furthering your education and skill set, you continue to be a valuable resource for your current employer, and it can prepare you for bigger and better things in the future. With that, Wendy and I thank you for your participation and your interest in our session. We encourage you to reach out to us if you have any questions, and we wish you all the best in your career. Thank you.